the HiPipo Chronicles, and we started off with 2005, went into 2006, and we are looking at 2007. So if you are just joining in and probably you've been under the rock and you haven't heard anything from any of the episodes we put out, we are looking at the story of HiPipo, where everything started from, some of the meetings and some of the conversations that were had behind the scenes that probably people in the public never got a chance to probably hear of, and the planning and everything that was going on behind the scenes. So we are doing that with the current CEO of HiPipo, Vincent Kawooya, and he's taking us through what his experience was at the time and how everything panned out for him during that entire journey. So 2005, if you missed that, you need to go back and then listen to those episodes until you catch up to where we are right now, which is the year 2007. Vincent Kawooya is back here, so glad to do this again. How is everything going for you?
Doing well, Mark.
Yes.
I'm here with DJ Mark Xtreme on the ones and twos.
Yeah.
Having a good time.
Absolutely.
Speaking 2007.
Yes.
Well, when you look at children that were born in 2007 right now.
How old would they be? 2007, that would be
well, they are 16, 17.
Quite a journey, yeah.
Yeah, quite a journey. When you look at them and you see the things they know about technology and how they are using technology.
Yes.
We need to get a way back machine for all of them and take them back to some of the things that made the internet that they are using today.
Yes.
Not just the history, but the real gist of what it took to actually use internet. But I'm happy that we are having these conversations.
Absolutely.
Yeah, maybe there will be a part of a learning curve for so many that never got a chance to know what happened.
Yeah.
Maybe so many entrepreneurs will find ways of picking a leaf and being able to do something for themselves.
Yeah, that is also usually useful for people, yeah?
Yeah.
If you listen in and you're able to pick up something that you can probably use in future, or when you're developing something. Sometimes people see things happening currently and they think that, oh, it just happened. But probably some people had seen this earlier and they were trying to make things happen, but because of limitations of certain things at the moment, at the time then, you almost see what is current as you know how the saying usually goes that, oh no, I just discovered this, yet you are just reinventing the wheel of what has already been done. So because when you're listening, when you see what is happening right now with the current trend of people dealing with social media, you are talking about this 2005, 2006, creating a platform where people can interact and get to know each other, communicate easily and instantly. So we talked about those in the previous episodes. So we are looking, we even in the last episode we talked about things that were being done locally on the local area network between you guys that were testing everything. So 2007, how does that kick off for you?
Well, for myself, I was completing my senior 6.
Yes.
The year started at a bad note for me at school.
Oh.
My privileges were cut down a little bit.
Did this have to do with the privileges you had? Did you use these privileges?
I had a chance to always leave school for 2 days and come back and work at HiPipo. So we got a new headmistress. She used to be my friend before she was headmistress. She became kind of my enemy,
after being the headmistress.
Becoming the headmistress, so she could have to ask me so many questions. I remember for a long time, after a long time being in high school, I even got a suspension. She didn't even tell me reason after that. I'm still angry and mad at her about that. I'm like, what did I do? Because even she failed to give me an explanation, but I could still find a day or two every 2 weeks and return and get to Makere, especially in the computer lab, or in Kawooya, where the control center was.
That's why the command center was.
Exactly, I wanted that one, the command center. Somewhere in some room in Kawooya. And the other part was at either DICTS or at Social Sciences in Makere. Well, so many things, like we said in the previous episodes, were happening. We were doing a lot of development. The team that was leading, about 8 people then, led by John Mark, Vincent Lubega, Kaddu, Ismael, and the other folks were creating solutions and making sure that this becomes the first ever social networking platform in East Africa. And Africa as a whole. And indeed it was. Well, I remember the list is that so many functionalities had been created.
Yeah.
Of course, the most popular is the SMS platform that we were prototyping and working on making sure it actually serves people. But little did we know it was going to be a very important tool for even marketing HiPipo. But there were the classifieds, the jobs functionality, a shop for selling anything that you could. There was a music functionality that was supposed to be dedicated to the music industry around. There was an event thing, and then weddings and dating. And I think as we go on with the conversation today, I'll tell you something about what amused me about dating. About love was real those days. Eh?
It was real also, because I remember I also picked up someone's number probably from a column somewhere, and things kind of worked out. But,
oh really?
Yeah. So
you had to try that.
Yeah, if she ever sees this, probably I don't know if she will still. I don't know.
Send her greetings. If she
send greetings to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
It was funny.
I remember a colleague, Ronald. For him, it was a very great place for him to find relationships. It was very easy. And then he also went to TV, those scrolls.
Yes.
He could send messages. I read numbers of everyone that was a babe that was posting stuff. But I mean, one thing that stood out around that time was the HiPipo Love functionality. It was big at engaging people and pulling emotions, because one of the biggest strengths of social networking is drawing down and bringing down everyone's emotions and making people say what they feel like they want to say.
Yes.
Democratizing thoughts and creating a central place for people to talk about what they feel like. I remember one of those very popular posts I read was by one Romeo K, who was 23 years by then. He should be about 39 or 40 by 40, then, 40 now, and he posted saying he's medium size,
medium size
colored. I don't know. With an achieving formula, he's faithful, loving, caring, God-fearing, hardworking, and he's solution-oriented. And he left his number. The number is still there. So today, as we were getting to the show, I went down to a Wayback Machine, checking out on the things that are happening, and this is still captured. Them like, oh wow,
the data is still there.
It is still there. And someone who has sometimes should go back and check and see the things we're talking about.
Maybe if you think that we're just speaking these things from somewhere, probably you might go and. But even there are people who are using these services. Then they can easily tell you how it was. Then
you remember the other time we were in Lira and we found an old-time user.
Yeah, we actually. You know, that's the funny part. We talked. He didn't say anything until towards the end of our meeting with him.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden he talks about using the feature that he talks about, which was the email to SMS.
Yeah, sure.
So the email to SMS.
Yes.
How for people that are just getting this, because there are a lot of young people that probably are watching this or listening to this for the first time.
Yes.
How would it work, and how would it make communication easier?
For starters, SMSs were very expensive.
Oh yeah,
especially for students that were in the university.
Yes.
Secondly, they were not so reliable. You could send so many sometimes and they all bounce. Thirdly, they were not interoperable in the sense of sending. It was hard to send SMSs across the border of Uganda. So this functionality was sending to more than 89 destinations by 2007. Destinations, I mean countries.
Yes.
And as you well know, Uganda has always had an influx of people going out to work in the diaspora. The numbers have never stopped going high. When you go and stand at the airport today on a Saturday or a Friday or any afternoon, and check out one of the airlines that go to the Middle East, you'll find lines and lines of hundreds of people going every single day to go and find what we call greener pastures. So this SMS, email to SMS functionality was supposed to be that thing that solves a lot of our problems. It comes free as long as you can access internet. Computer labs were growing, cafes were growing. So someone can pay their 1,000 shillings in a cafe, go and send 60 messages that would have costed you about 20,000 shillings. And this could not be any less. We actually thought that this functionality would have been adapted by the Googles of this world, the Yahoos of this world, and some of the best and biggest email broadcast broadcasting services. Create an email or an online to offline service. Allow for anyone who has Gmail to send free SMSs.
Yes.
I mean, that's what we really thought was going to happen. Of course, for us, we found our ways. Maybe later we shall talk about the challenges we met in maybe other episodes.
Yeah.
But because the likes of Google, the likes of Yahoo have very great content delivery networks, have resources to have every kind of service, and even pay some little money to have their service working very well at subsidized prices. I mean, Skype did this a lot. I mean, there's so much.
You would easily send an
SMS with Skype, of course, at some cost. But I thought this was something, as we were talking digital inclusion from that time, this was something that would interest so many people to use internet. I so believe that the functionality that HiPipo created back in these days that allowed for using email communication to SMS got so many people interested in using internet. And that is something we're very proud of.
So for someone listening in, because most of them, the wider audience, some of them would have been introduced to HiPipo through music and some of that part. What they should know is that from inception, HiPipo was more than just promoting music, creating a platform for musicians to market their music or even expose their music, but it was more of a platform of going into creating an interactive space, doing e-commerce, the shop, and he was doing that back then. You added in the dating part and everything that was in there, but it just wasn't about the music, because I know later on we shall talk about music streaming, which was very popular at the time, and the charts too, how they became very big, and what later also got into the HiPipo Music Awards, which also usually people think that it's what HiPipo does, right? But from inception, can you expound more on that the agenda for HiPipo was more about creating a better digital ecosystem for everyone in Uganda and East Africa and the continent at large?
Well, you just said that, Mark. What happened was that we had to find tools and sectors that you could use to demonstrate the transformative capacity of digitization.
Yes.
So one of them was music. I mean, real estate, e-commerce, and other kind of stuff. But from the inception, HiPipo was started to play a major role in advocating for digital innovation, financial inclusion, and ensuring that people use a secure environment, digital environment, and that is cybersecurity. And we've not stopped at that. I mean, digital innovation entails all things to do with digital inclusion. I mean, today when we are speaking financial inclusion and fintech, is that there is not going to ever be any financial inclusion without digital inclusion.
Yes.
If people cannot use phones, if people cannot use internet and all that kind of stuff, that's not going to happen. But when we demonstrated with music and got so many of the people that were popular then using technology to actually communicate and reach out to people, it became easier to push all the companies that were not online. I remember sometime when we ran the study on the top 1,000 taxpayers in Uganda and how they're embracing internet.
Yeah.
And only 43% of them had websites. They got angry. They said us males are abusing us. But within the next 12 months, every one of those companies had created a digital department, or what they called IT.
Yes.
They gave a job to a youth who had either studied IT, software engineering, or computer science, a mass communication person, to make sure they create a digital environment for themselves. That has never gone back. COVID just made it better recently, but now that has been happening. And we are still for that same cause. Digitization is the way to go. It saves time, it saves money, creates opportunities, not just jobs, but opportunities for so many things that we would never have achieved or learned over time.
So what was the experience like when you roll out this and people are able to interact with this platform at the time?
Yes.
What was the experience like? How were you introducing people even to this new platform and letting them know about it? What was going on at the time?
Yes, well, for instance, the SMS functionality was a really beautiful channel and medium of introducing HiPipo to different users.
Yeah.
because many had phones, many were working in the corporate, so they had access to internet, but not on smartphones.
Yeah.
Because they were really, really scarce.
Yeah, way scarce.
You remember those big devices of the time, those big phones. People were still locked to those ones, and the small flappy phones and all that kind of stuff. Oh, yeah. But the SMSs, I mean, I remember ourselves sending a lot of email to SMS communications to people that we knew that had phones. I could be at school, ask people for their numbers of their parents and all that, come back to campus and then send all of them SMSs. Then we did a lot of selling of this service to people that were having weddings, introductions, so that they could use the service to actually get to many of their people. Whoever received the message was knowing about HiPipo at the same time. So what we were doing ourselves, because it was supposed to be a self-service, became a thing that everyone else could use that has a wedding. That
turned into a business for people who are doing bulk SMS.
Exactly. People are turning it into a business. Someone tells someone, I'm going to charge you 50 shillings instead of the 90 or the 120 that other people are charging. And all you could do, someone gets time, sits at a computer, sends 100 messages, they make their 8,000, 10,000 shillings. That was really good money then. I don't know how many got such opportunities, but for the little I remember from the statistics we had, there were millions of messages that were sent over time.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so people really, even then, were quickly adopting to getting into this new space. You saw a change in that.
Yeah, of course there was a lot of change. One thing maybe, Mark, before anything, before we go into other episodes, I remember a time, one of the best things that ever happened on internet in Uganda, those who witnessed it know, was HiPipo Love. We did what I would call the best ever Valentine, digital Valentine. HiPipo Love was beautiful.
So how did you carry out this campaign then?
Well, we got to many people that were working in the corporate world, got their emails and numbers, and started engaging them to have digital blind dates. Oh. You can't imagine what happened.
Digital blindness.
There are so many babies that were born as a result of these campaigns.
You might want to find out how many babies were born in the next episode. The HiPipo Chronicles, this is the episode looking at 2007, and we are still getting more of the episodes coming. So all you have to do is wherever you get podcasts from, subscribe, leave a comment. If you're on Apple Podcasts, you can rate us and do all that necessary stuff. Follow us, rate us, leave a comment. Let us know what your experience is. If you were sending messages that time too, send us your message. We want to know about that too. Maybe you can involve you on the podcast somehow.